Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for a short prayer and a salute to the flag? Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all of our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation, and may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Terry, statement of publication. Jessica.
Take notice that this regular meeting of the mayor and council being held on this 23rd day of September 2019 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan.
Here.
Delina.
Here.
Enriquez.
Here.
Kilpatrick.
Here.
McGill.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
Thank you. I move the following minutes be approved, subject to correction. The August 19, 2019 agenda session and the September 9, 2019 regular and agenda session.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan.
Yes.
Delina.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Yes.
Kilpatrick.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Next item. I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Tonight's a great night. Some of our officers are moving up the ranks, and we have the honor of swearing them into their promotions. So I'm going to ask the chief to come up and say a few words, and we'll start the process.
Oh, sure, I'm sorry.
Council President, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Anybody watch football? They watched yesterday, New York football Giants won a football game, right? And how did they do it? They did it with a big change, right? Big institutional change in the way that the football team had been operating, right? Changed their quarterback. And for at least for one game, what happened? A lot of excitement, and all of a sudden the team played a little better and a big win, right? A big win. I'm a Giants fan, so it was a great day for me. But today I am a Saraville fan, as I am every day. So I'm a fan for you all today and the institutional change that's been taking place in the Saraville Police Department for quite some time too, with the assistance from our borough council. Over the last couple of years, we've changed and repositioned officers to better serve the public. We have seen a change in the table of organization again because we had to make right decisions for the town. And over the last couple of years, the last 18 months in particular, we lost an awful lot of mature officers, and we've brought in many new officers as well. And part of that is the change in our chain of command, our supervision, and you're seeing some of that tonight. So I got to tell you, one of the greatest things about the department and these changes is first of all, change is not a bad thing, particularly if the change helps, and in our case, it certainly did. And change does make for excitement, and I have to tell you, I think our hallways buzz a lot more than they have in the last couple of years, and nothing fell apart. Everything went really well. And the cool part about this change and excitement that we see is these officers doing their own thing the Saraville way. So although they're replacing some icons, some people that we thought were replaceable, and certainly personality and character-wise they were, in their positions, they have come in and they've really done a fantastic job. And the officers that you're going to meet tonight and you're going to congratulate as we swear in have been in these positions already for some time, and I have to tell you, they're making a great addition and they're making a great difference for the borough of Saraville. Not simply for the borough of Saraville, but also for the men and women that serve under them. So I'm very excited tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to start with our sergeants, and I'm going to ask Sergeant Daniel Elmeyer and his family to come up to be sworn in.
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially, and justly perform
all the duties of
Sergeant of the Saraville Police Department
Sergeant of the Saraville Police Department
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
And ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to call up to the podium Sergeant Sean McGrath and his family.
I, Sean McGrath,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States,
and to the government established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of Sergeant of the Saraville Police Department
all the duties of Sergeant of the Saraville Police Department
of the Borough of Saraville,
of the Borough of Saraville
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
And now if we could have the Sergeant Michael Sonardo and his family to come forward.
There you go.
Now I'd like to introduce Lieutenant John Kwiatkowski and his family to come to the podium, please.
Insert your name. I
I, John Kwiatkowski,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United
that I
States
will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New
and
Jersey,
the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true to allegiance in the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United
and in
States
this state
and this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of police lieutenant
of police lieutenant
of the Borough of Saraville
of the Borough of Saraville
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my abilities,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thanks, Terry. Ladies and gentlemen, our new lieutenants and sergeants.
Talk to the chief about it, see what we can coordinate.
Next item, Jessica.
We're going to have the presentation of a health insurance fund concept for employees by Reliance Insurance.
Are they here?
Quite live? Okay.
Does he
Good
need
evening,
another one?
everybody.
Just one?
I have a handout, if it's okay to hand out ahead of time.
Yes, please hand it over to the clerk.
There you go. Here's extra copies. Thank you. Thank you. Well, let me start. My name's Tom Fletcher. I'm Vice President for Reliance Insurance Group, and I think as everybody knows, we are the benefit brokers for the Employee Benefit Program. And the reason why I'm here today, if you would just turn to page 1 of the handout, just like to give you a little brief introduction of why I'm here today. I think as you probably know, that January 1 represents the renewal date for your medical plan. Your medical plan right now is currently with Aetna, and they have offered a renewal, but as an alternative, we've looked at some other options for you to investigate as far as providing your benefits. And that is, the best option we think is the North Jersey Central HIF, or Health Insurance Fund. It is a conglomeration of like-minded employers in Central Jersey here that operate a health insurance fund very similar to the way you operate your property casualty fund through a JIF. So what the Central Jersey HIP offers us, though, is some financial stability, and they are offering a rate that's 2.5% above your current rates, and it's going to be administered by Aetna, the same carrier that you currently have in place for your benefit program. And they are also, most importantly, going to offer benefits that are equal to or better than what you currently have right now. They are going to replicate that benefit exactly. And it also utilizes the same provider network or access to doctors and hospitals on an in-network basis that your current program has. So there's no need for anybody to have to change relationships with physicians or hospitals or any other ancillary providers on their part. But most importantly, it's going to provide a vehicle for you to achieve long-term stability for managing your benefit program. So if we could just turn to the second page, I'm going to give you a little of the salient points, or the third page, excuse me, on where we stand with the renewal on a direct basis with Aetna. So they did offer a renewal for January 1, and it's current, as I said, administered by Aetna on a fully insured basis. And it's averages about 335 contracts enrolled in the plan right now. That is employees, doesn't include, that's also their dependents and retirees, but there's 335 either employees or retirees that were once employees here. And the projected annual premium for the calendar year of 2019 is about $6.1 million. So for 2020, Aetna did provide a renewal, and it was 7.82% increase. That's about a $475,000 increase to current rates. Now, on surface, a 7.82% increase is probably not that bad in today's world. If anybody's been following healthcare trends, you know, the medical cost and most notably prescription drug costs are escalated at a rate that's far more rapid than 7.82%. However, if we looked at your plan over a 5-year period, we've seen that you've averaged about 9% over the last few years. So if we could just turn to the page 4 here, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Central Jersey HIF, or the acronym, Central Jersey Health Insurance Fund. It's an acronym we call a HIF. So Aetna and the Borough of Sayreville had a long-standing relationships, I think since 2016. They've been a provider of your benefits, and it's worked out very well for employees and the borough from both a cost perspective and a service perspective, and giving them wide breadth to a large network of hospitals and physicians, not only here in Jersey, but also outside the state, whether you go into the city, Philadelphia, or whereabouts. And as I said, the Central Jersey HIF is utilizing that exact same network. So that's a big plus for your employees and for the borough. They're going to offer these benefits, as I say, on an equal to or better than basis. I have a letter certifying such that we can share with you that is saying that they're going to replicate these benefits. And therefore, as I said before, there is no need for any change in relationship of providers by the employees and or their dependents. But the most important tenet of this whole concept is it deletes or it negates all the rate volatility that you've had in the past. We're going to have a level playing field that hopefully you're going to see a very steady cost increases over the year that are going to be very, very small. So if you can turn to page 5, I want to talk to you specifically about what the Central Jersey HIF and how it's performed over the last few years. So the concept of a HIF is that we bring together like-minded employers to develop a health insurance fund, and they use economies of scale to purchase health insurance and aggregate the risk over the greater population rather than just the borough of Sayreville. And so with that, the performance of the HIF has been phenomenal. They've averaged 1.5% increases over the last 5 years. That's an unbelievable achievement in today's market. And even better, though, for 2020, the renewal increase for the HIF is a -3%. It's unheard of in today's market. And again, I keep pounding this home. They're going to offer benefits to your employees on an equal to or better than basis, so they're going to be compliant with all your collective bargaining agreements. Okay? If we can just turn on to the next page, and I'll give you the specifics on the financial results of their proposal. So the Central Jersey HIF is proposing right now rates that are about 2.5% above your expiring 2019 rates. That projected annual premium is $6.23 million, and that's saving about off their original renewal from Aetna about $322,000. Again, the plan's going to continue to be administered by Aetna. And the HIF's going to replicate the current benefits, but then there's also some additional features that are going to be included in this program. One of the things is there are going to be some employee advocacy programs. There's a program called Guardian Nurses that if you have any catastrophic type illnesses, the Guardian Nurse will hold your hand through the whole process, go to physician appointments with you, hospital appointments as well. And then if you just have general questions about your illness or anything like that, they're there to assist you. There's a wellness feature included in the program that we will continue to roll out. And the HIF will also provide COBRA administration and retiree billing services as well. Any compliance with the Affordable Care Act, they can assist you with that as well. But again, the most important feature is of the HIF, it's going to give you long-term financial stability. I know that your employee benefits program is probably either line number 2 or number 3 on your budget, and this is going to help you set that number every year on a reliable number. So with that, are there any questions?
Anyone have any questions?
So the reason why that you can provide these rates so much lower than what we currently have, is that because of looks like you have a limited number of individuals that participate in a HIF, a limited number of municipalities, wherever you do your groupings?
Well, it's so not every municipality, it's a good question. If I can rephrase it a little bit, perhaps, maybe the way you're asking it.
Go for it.
So not every municipality is given an invitation to join the HIF. You need to have good performance, and I say performance, I mean your claims
Experience and
experience and
rating.
things of that nature, have to be favorable and in line with what the HIF is performing at to get membership in. But that's the best time to go into an arrangement like this, because if healthcare is very cyclical, right? And you've probably seen that here at Sayreville. You know, you can have a couple of great years of running really, really favorable, and then all of a sudden everything flips upside down, and you get a few catastrophic claims that, you know, that are a big hit to the thing, to the borough. And so therefore you get into the HIF, you're insulated from that, from the economy of scale, the law of large numbers. They can absorb those type of hits much more easier than you can on yourself, by yourself. There are, in all the HIFs in New Jersey, I think there's 244 active government entities. It's not only municipalities, it's school boards and utilities and things of that nature that are in the various HIFs throughout the, operated by PERMA, who is going to administrate this.
So if I can take that and tell me if I'm putting into my layman's words. So basically what you're saying is that the Borough of Sayreville qualifies for an invitation into a HIF because our experience rating based on our employee base is something that Aetna views or the HIF views as very good, very low. That means we have fairly healthy individuals. They're not utilizing the health insurance the way that other places have. And as a result, we can go into a program that would show us over the course of, what is this, a year?
Yes.
You're entering, this would be something we'd be entering into for a year.
Correct.
Lower than what we would typically see going out the way that we have.
Correct. So if the rates aren't, so we all understand, the rates entering into HIF aren't lower than what your current rates are, but they're
No,
lower
it's-
than what your renewal rates were.
I understand, and they came in with a number when we were sitting down to renegotiate. Their numbers, as you quoted here, were somewhere
7.82%,
7.8.
yes.
And what you're saying is because of the type of employee experience rating that we have, we now qualify for the possibility, if we agree to this, at a
5% increase.
2.5% increase.
Right. And with the hopes that in renewal 2021, it's hard for me to say that, so it seems like so in the future, that either your rates will stay stagnant or hopefully will achieve a result like the HIF did this year for 2020 with a reduction.
Okay. You talked about a wellness feature. I understand the guardian nurse feature and that, you didn't go into detail regarding the wellness feature. Is this something in addition to what we currently would have?
Baked into your program right now, it's a wellness program where people get reimbursement for gym memberships, and we're going to continue that program into for the 2020 plan year if the borough does go down the avenue of joining the HIF, and perhaps maybe look at rolling out some other additional features. It really is up to you. They're going to give you a wellness credit, and it's how you want to spend it.
Okay. And, let me see, hold on. Equal to, better than, same provider, no change, this is through Aetna. And overall, the cost savings you're stating is 476?
No, it's
No.
$322,000.
Wait, 300. Sorry, I looked at the wrong page.
It's all good.
Okay, I think you answered my questions.
Anyone else have questions?
Yeah. How does this compare to the state health benefits plan? Because they're constantly sending us stuff saying they're going down for the second year in a row.
So that is true. The state is going down, and I'm trying to remember from my old man's memory here. I think it was 3.8% in aggregate for all the programs that are offered through the state for both actives and retirees are going down. But the benefits are much different from what you have here at the borough. And they wouldn't comply with your collective bargaining agreements. There's a lot of differences in the plans that you offer versus what the state offers. And, you know, it's something that you would have to negotiate with your unions, whether you ever wanted to go into the state health benefit program. And I also just want to reemphasize here, this is the medical only. The pharmacy program is going to maintain its enrollment with BeneCard. And if I may, so Dan doesn't even know this, I just got the BeneCard renewal, and you're going to get a rate pass for 2 years. So you have some stability there as
Wow.
well.
I like that.
I don't
What
wanna
about
take the-
dental? 'Cause right
Dental
now,
we're working through.
Okay, because that's under Aetna plan.
That it is, yes. We're
But
working.
isn't it true that if we go with this HIF for the medical, that there's also other dental plans that we're looking at different prices, which also might still save us, because we're in this plan, might be able to save us a little bit more money?
So acting as the borough's brokers, we are going to look at all the dental markets to see if what is available out there to replicate the plans on an equal to or better than basis. And there are the usual suspects that are always usually very attractive. We call them the Bucas of the world, the Blues, the United, Cigna, Aetna. But also we'll add MetLife into that. But Dan's also alluding that the HIF also offers a dental program as well through Delta Dental. And we will look at that as well to see how that compares to what your current program is.
So we have a small timing issue after talking with you, correct? That we would probably need a understanding from the council that to move forward, at least that they're in affirmative to move forward to negotiate a contract, and that is good enough to the HIF to hold our place in this HIF.
Correct. So the HIF, just so they have time to implement and make sure that every member has a live ID card in their hand on the effective date of January 1st, they ask for a resolution to be passed before October 1st, but they've also granted us a waiver that if we just give them a letter of intent prior to October 1st, then they will start the whole process. Then assuming at a later date when your next council meeting is available, the resolution could be voted on.
I just have one question. Is the dental figure included in, I mean, we have a figure here for what the renewal would be, and that would be renewal of the dental. Is your figure that you're coding for just the, I'm trying to say, are we talking apples to oranges here?
So what we're talking here tonight is exclusively medical only. It does not include pharmacy nor dental.
Even though that was, the dental was part of the Aetna plan that we have?
It's a separate contract, but it is also administered by
I
Aetna.
just want to make sure that we're saving the same amount
Yeah,
of money,
it's
whether or not.
only medical is the only item we're talking about right now.
So my question is, the copays stay the same, Aetna would stay the same, it's just who is providing Aetna for us, or who
So you're
would
going,
provide it
I'm
for
gonna
us?
be honest with you, you're going into a self-insured platform that's, they're gonna give you rates that you will use for your Chapter 78 contributions, COBRA, and whatever. But the HIF will manage this on a self-insured basis, and any surpluses, and typically they're paid back to you in a dividend.
So the plan stays the same, the providers stay the same, the copays stay the same, it's just a matter of
Who administers it?
us going through HIF rather than,
Exactly, yeah. It's still Aetna. You're gonna be carrying an Aetna card, it's gonna say the Central Jersey HIF on it, but
Similar,
it's also gonna have an
similar to
Aetna
what we're doing
logo.
with energy aggregation. Larger plan, a larger group of people.
It's a little different, yeah, getting a better rate, but it's,
But we're
but
self-administering.
right, and the other advantage, because it is with Aetna, is they have the ability to take our employees and roll that,
That whole process.
the whole process into, right, to go right, it's seamless.
gonna be
The only
done
thing that we're gonna,
electronically.
the only thing we're gonna be doing is just issuing a new card, which is a lot different than the employees went through 3 or 4 years ago. We changed from Blue Cross Blue Shield to Aetna. So this is gonna be as seamless as possible, and with savings, and the employees are gonna be paying, because we're paying less as the municipality, the employees are gonna pay less also.
Correct.
Can you just go into a little bit more detail when you just stated any dividends to be paid off would go back down to the
So-
borough? Can you explain what you mean by that,
So
please?
once you have membership in the HIF, they will look, so the HIF it operates at on no loss, no gain. So if there's profits or surplus, I'll use a better term, surplus left over, that is paid back as a dividend to the members. There are some criteria that you have to be in the HIF for a certain amount of time before you can earn a dividend, but it is available.
So a surplus is basically for monies that, if we charge our employees a certain rate based on what we expect the cost of benefits would be on their experiency rating, there could be the potential where they don't end up using all of that.
So
And
there-
then monies would be there would be a difference in that cost?
No, but they've established a reserve to absorb that.
And they've established a reserve, so that's money that's put to the side.
And that's all
That
factored
reserve-
in these rates, yes.
And that, so I want to be careful with this. We are going to base a rate for our employees on what we anticipate this is going to be. You're giving,
The actuaries have done that for
the
you.
actuaries have done that. Is there a possibility that the actuaries could end up projecting a little higher than what they thought? Or, and then what we actually, then the cost, so that monies would come back to the borough if there was a difference between
Well,
what.
it's looked at the HIP collectively. It's not just the performance of the borough by itself, it's the collective performance of the HIF. So the borough could have a really horrible year of claims, but the rest of the HIF could have a favorable year of claims, and you would still be in a dividend, but then conversely, it could be the other way around as well.
It could be the other way
Yeah,
around.
yes. But historically, the HIF has performed exceptionally well by evident of the low rate increases year over year.
I'm just thinking about the way that this looks sometimes from an employee's perspective. They're going to be charged a certain amount of money based on the speculations of the cost of health insurance, okay? In the event that the borough receives money back as a result of those actuary differences, are we keeping that money as a borough, even though our employees were paying out based on what this anticipated cost would be? And what would we as a borough be comfortable with doing with that surplus money? Because one of the things I do not feel comfortable with, one of the things I would not allow, is that if we charged our members money and we ended up getting money back, those employees should be entitled to that money back as well based on what they paid out. I won't go through that. I'm saying right now, I've had a very similar situation going on with my own employer, and I do not feel that the employees that are paying out should not get that money back if the borough sees money in return off of those actuary numbers. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? If you're being billed a certain amount of money and then we see money back on the borough, I don't feel that it's right for us to keep that money. We should look at it, make sure that our CFO knows how to break it down and the money get returned to the employees. Does that make sense? I'm putting that on the record right now.
I would like that worded in there because
Yes,
who knows who's up here in the future, and it's something that we should memorialize.
absolutely. Other than that, I think the presentation, I mean, if we need to speak and meet.
Like car insurance, if you have too many accidents, you get thrown out. Can you get thrown out of this?
No.
Okay,
Once you're in,
that's-
you're in.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask.
You can voluntarily leave though if you wanted to. You have to give 90 days notice.
Just so everyone knows, though, we price out our medical insurance every year through our brokers. If this is something that isn't good for us, we still price it out every year. We will continue to price it out every year. We'll continue to try to get the best price for the best services or as services as we have. So even if we're going into this and we don't like it after a year, we're not bound to it, we can leave.
Correct.
Or we continue on, correct?
But, you know, as a consultant to this whole process, this is the best way for you as an entity to really manage your healthcare costs so it doesn't keep escalating at the rate that has been escalated. And who knows what's going to happen in Washington with where healthcare is going, and this could insulate you for the whole volatility of that programs.
I find that this is the first time that I've really seen, although it still is a percentage increase, the direction that it's been going over the past several years is much higher, like you had stated, than what we had anticipated. I'm happy that we have the opportunity to enter into this program because, knock on wood, we have the type of employees that we do, and things from an experiency rating are great. I understand that you need us to make some kind of decision today in order to put this on.
We just have to make
tomorrow?
sure that we give them a letter of intent, okay? That we agree that we'll get something to our attorney, that we can get to them something by October 1st for a letter of intent. So we probably need a vote or a motion to do that authorization.
So moved.
Does that need to be open to the public? Does it need to be open to the public, Jerry?
I don't believe so. No, it's not a resolution.
Get a motion in a second?
Second that motion, please.
With that motion, are we going to make sure that we have that caveat on the books, making sure that any monies we receive back as a result of, you know, that surplus would go back to the employees? This, I think, goes outside of you
that letter of
being here.
Yes, so, Councilwoman, if I may, just to protect yourself, I want to protect yourselves, though. There is an agreement from the HIF that probably should be reviewed by an attorney before. I would imagine you would be able to do that. I just don't want to have anything hanging behind that we just don't know about. But I would imagine you can do that, but I just want to make sure that's within the parameters of the HIF.
Letter of intent contingent upon that review by the attorney?
You know, the resolution should read that it's a letter of intent contingent upon a contract being properly negotiated and executed by the mayor and council.
Anyone else have any questions? We have a motion, second?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Tom, in 30 words or less, can you tell me about the infrastructure of HIF?
Sure. So the HIF is run by its members, right? So the borough of Sayreville will have a seat on the HIF, and they then have jurisdiction to run the plan as they see fit, but it's done on a governing body very similar to what you have right now. And then above them, there is protections of reinsurance and things of that nature that HIF reports up. So there's little layers of protection. So that's just to protect against if there's something catastrophic happens in New Jersey, you know, so you have protection that you're not going to be insolvent if one, you know, I'm saying like the plague or something like that, you know, comes down. So you have layers of protection that make sure that you are not vulnerable to any adverse economic volatility or anything like that. Yeah.
Or in a plague? This is reinvestment money.
Say that again?
It's reinvestment money. You're going to reinvest this money to make sure it all.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Buchanan,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
Miguel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Public hearing on the following ordinances. Ordinance number 468-19, an ordinance supplementing and amending ordinance number 437-19, fixing the salaries of certain borough officials, officers, and employees for the years 2019 to 2022.
At this time, I'm going to open the public portion for any comments concerning ordinance 468-19. Any comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Dave.
Councilman McGill.
Councilman McGill?
Move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on its second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons McGill,
Yes.
Buchanan,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Ordinance number 469-19, an ordinance supplementing and amending ordinance number 436-19, fixing the salaries of certain borough officials, officers, and employees for the years 2019 to 2022.
At this time, I'm going to open the public portion for ordinance 469-19. Are there any comments or questions regarding this ordinance? If not, Councilman McGill?
Thank you, Mayor. I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons McGill,
Yes.
Buchanan,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Ordinance number 470-19, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 17 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to add Section 17-19, Saraville Parks, adopt a bench.
At this time, I'm going to open the public portion to ordinance 470-19. Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Councilman McGill?
Once again, Mayor, I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons McGill,
Yes.
Buchanan,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Ordinance number 471-19, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 2 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to add Section 2-64.26, Saraville Parks, adopt a bench.
At this time, I'm going to open the public portion to ordinance 471-19. Are there any comments or questions? If none, I'll entertain a motion.
Thank you again, Mayor. I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law, and I will be taking out that first bench in memory of Dickie Cronin from the AOH. Thank you.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons McGill,
Yes.
Buchanan,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Terry?
The next part of the agenda, we have, just want to announce that the mayor had returned ordinance number 464-19 to me, the municipal clerk, on August the 29th, 2019, declaring that this ordinance was vetoed. This is ordinance number 464-19, an ordinance of the Borough of Saraville authorizing the acquisition of land identified as portion of Lot 1, Block 367.01, consisting of approximately 4.54 acres from K-Land Corp., for the purchase price of $1,430,000 from the borough's Open Space Trust Fund.
Terry, does this need to be opened up to the public?
This does not need to be opened up to the public. We just need a motion
So at
to
this
overturn the
time-
mayor's veto.
So at this time, I'm going to make a motion to override the veto.
Second.
That was Councilwoman Novak. Thank you.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Buchanan,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Mayor's veto is overridden.
Next item?
Any appointments?
At this time, there has been a vacancy for over 30 days, so I'm going to make motion to appoint Ken Scott to the Sarah.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
There was another application that was put before you or put in Friday's packet.
Four.
I don't know if anyone
Yeah, I saw it.
got a chance to review.
Four. It's for Board of Education.
That's correct. Liaison, yeah.
Liaison to the-
It's the second time that he had applied for it.
Okay.
You're interested in appointment?
We have an opening, so I will make a motion to appoint Hitesh Shah to
Second.
the liaison to Board of Education.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, next item.
Under new business, introduction of the following ordinance, ordinance number 472-19, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 12 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to amend Section 12.6, rent control.
Councilwoman Novak?
Yes, I move that the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law for a public hearing to be held on October 15th prevailing time.
Second?
Roll call?
Councilpersons Novak?
Yes.
Buchanan?
Yes?
Delina?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
McGill?
Yes.
At this time, I'm going to open the public portion for consent agenda resolutions. Are there any comments or questions regarding the consent agenda resolutions? If none, I'll close the public portion and make a motion to approve.
Councilpersons Buchanan?
I am going to vote yes on all and abstain on 301.
Delina?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
McGill?
Yes.
Novak?
Yes on everything but 301 for my reasons stated last meeting. No, no.
Now I'm going to open the public, I'm sorry, we need to read it.
Motion to be read in full?
Yes.
Be it resolved that the following person is hereby
The
appointed,
number, Jess.
Resolution number 2019-303, be it resolved that the following person is hereby appointed to the following: Sarah Bardsley to position of school traffic guard, effective September 24th, 2019. Be it further resolved that the compensation to be paid such appointee shall be fixed and determined by the salary ordinance or appropriate resolution adopted thereunder, fixing the compensation to be paid municipal employees, and that this appointment be made subject to all the rules and regulations of the New Jersey Department of Personnel.
At this time, I'm going to open the public portion for Resolution 2019-303. Are there any comments or questions regarding this resolution? If there are none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move the public portion be closed and the resolution be approved on roll call vote.
Second?
Roll call?
Councilpersons Novak?
Yes.
Buchanan?
Yes?
Delina?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
McGill?
Yes.
Next item, Borough Attorney's report.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Jay, your Borough Engineer's report. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to open up the public portion for comments or questions regarding any and all items. Mr. Rittenhouse?
Arthur Rittenhouse, 33 Delacat Lane, Sayreville, New Jersey. Just a couple of items. One, the override of the veto. It's a shame that we're spending that money without having a Phase 2 environmental done on that property. If something should come, I know it says that the property owner will be responsible, but then that could cause us legal fees. The other part of that is that you could have voted and overridden the veto at the last meeting, according to our ordinance. So that was just a waste of time. I would like to thank Mr. DuPont. He promised he would send me the letter about the Mako property the next day, and in the email it was there, and I do have it. The letter he read in, unfortunately though, was May 21st. I don't know why this letter was hidden from me or from the public until the last meeting. And everything in the letter is everything that I have said since April at these meetings. So there was really nothing new in the meeting. And my question again will be, did the borough do anything to check the soil on the Fulton Landing plan? And I also noticed that there was a CIRA meeting and CIRA did nothing at that. And that's what's been said for the last two meetings, that CIRA would handle it. CIRA did nothing at their meeting the other night. Okay, so just we have it on the record. We don't care about the contamination and the pollution, and we don't check on it. Thank you.
Mr. Robinson?
Sorry,
His hand was up higher and first.
Iron first.
Thank you, Council President Buchanan. Jim Robinson, 11 Burrell Square. At the last meeting, I did not speak about this out of respect because the mayor wasn't here, he wasn't feeling well, so I didn't think it would be fair to raise the issue of the veto. I thank you very much for overriding the veto. I'm speaking about it now because it's been a month since you passed this ordinance, and it's time to move on, even though unfortunately the mayor isn't here tonight. But I want to put things in perspective because there are a lot of folks, and some of them are here tonight, who have been involved with this, not for a month or two, but for a couple years. Because this veto this ordinance and the override, it's not about the 4.5 acres. It's not about just preserving that land adjacent to Kennedy Park. It's about the entire COA settlement. The entire settlement that you all, at least those of you who are here over the last 2 years, worked so hard on, and that the taxpayers spent so much money on. It's about the 3,220 apartments that the planning board agreed to versus the much lower number that we were able to negotiate after this was brought out in the open. You know, I put in an Oprah request for the K-Land settlement, and I didn't get it right away, and I spoke to Mr. DuPont, and I said, I don't understand why I don't have this. And he said, because the request is not that simple. It is not just an ordinance about K-Land or not just about Prime. That is part and parcel to the entire agreement. So while some of us may think it is only about that 4.5 acres, it is about the much larger COA agreement that will impact this town and would have terribly impacted this town many years into the future. Let's talk, I want to talk about very quickly just Kaplan's two pieces, because one of these parcels is Kaplan's. Kaplan has two pieces. He's got Camelot 1 on Main Street near Town Lake that was originally approved for 173 units. Camelot 2 on North Ernston Road, which contains this 4.5 acres, would have had, under the planning board's plan, 300 units. Under the planning board plan, Kaplan alone would have gotten to build 473 apartments. Only 71 of them would have been affordable. So if we conservatively assume that 473 apartments will have 235 school kids at $14,750 each, the school costs alone for these 473 apartments would be $3,466 a year. And that's only on Kaplan's portion of it. Under the settlement agreement, Kaplan will build 318 apartments, not 473. That's a reduction of 155 apartments. And everybody in Sayreville should thank everybody up at this dais for that. If those 155 apartments produced only 75 kids at $14,750 a kid, that's a savings of between $1.1 and $1.4 million each year in school taxes alone. You know, the concerns have been raised about the railroad ties on the adjacent property. Make no mistake, those railroad ties, that railroad is on Conrail property, which is next to this property. Now, I passed around the aerial photos a couple times, and those who looked at it saw that that railroad track clearly is on the adjacent property. I too have a concern about contamination. I asked the attorney. The attorney said the agreement with Kaplan provides that if the railroad ties and Conrail's adjacent parcel or anything else has contaminated the land, Kaplan, not the borough, Kaplan will be responsible for cleaning it up, even though the railroad ties are Conrail's and have been there since long before Michael Kaplan's father bought the property. And by the way, those railroad tracks, I think I mentioned, I'm going to correct myself. A couple meetings ago, I said we have 38 miles of tracks in town. It's closer to 40 miles of railroad tracks in town. Now, as I said, out of respect for the mayor who wasn't here a couple weeks ago, I didn't speak on this issue, but I do want to correct the record. And I also said it's 1,000 feet of railroad track that abuts this property. It's not 1,000 feet. It's a lot closer to 400 feet. We have 40 miles of railroad track through the borough, but this 400 feet, that's all of a sudden the concern. And at some point, we should have a phase 2 examination and, if necessary, a cleanup. But these are not insurmountable issues. Certainly, if the property needs to be remedied, that should happen at Kaplan's expense as early in the process as possible. Those who have that concern, however, should have been involved enough in the process and worked with the others to get that done, not issue a veto that could cripple the entire settlement at the 11th hour. based on, because there is speculation, no proof, speculation that there is something on the adjacent parcel, is no reason for an 11th hour veto of the ordinance that could scuttle a larger deal, allow hundreds more apartments, and cost the taxpayers more than $1 million in school costs alone every year. If there's anything wrong with this deal, it's that it gives away property in Melrose to a developer instead of providing more open space. It gives more borough property away in the Melrose section, near Scott Avenue, so that even more apartments can be built. That's the only thing wrong with this deal. And the veto kills the entire deal. The fewer apartments, perhaps the veterans' housing, maybe the senior components, who knows how much more. What we do know is more units would cost more tax dollars, more school kids, and more traffic. And you've eliminated that by overriding the veto, and I thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. No.
Michael Diadio, 13 Zaleski Drive, and I'm the chairman of SERA. I'd like to quickly respond to Mr. Rittenhouse's rather laughable accusation that this letter's been hidden from him. He's not a borough official. He holds no position in this town. If that's the case, then we hid this letter from 43,000 residents. He's a private resident, and Mr. Dupont was nice enough to give this letter to him the next day. As far as Sarah doing nothing at the last meeting, I just want to explain to this council and whoever else is watching, Sarah doesn't have this application yet. Mr. Mako posted no escrow account yet. We have no plans in front of us yet. At the time that we do get our plans and we are looking at them and we are making decisions and reviewing something to send to the planning board, at that time, when he posts money and pays our engineer and our professionals to do their work, that's the time when we will do our own soil testing and we will see if it's contaminated, which according to this letter, it's not. But we're still gonna do it. Sarah will do its due diligence and we will test the soil. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Ruth Ann.
Ruth Ann Mahoney, 2 Gerard Place, Parlin. Thank you very much for overriding the veto. It's a big relief to myself and to my residents. As Mr. Robinson has stated, and he does it very well, it would have been a terrible, terrible mess had it been, not been overridden. So I thank you. And the little turkey that rides around, that walks around in our backyard, will be very happy. I don't know if it's Tom or Thomasina, but it will be very, very happy. So I do thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak? If not, I'll entertain a motion. I'm sorry. Are you raising your hand in the back? No? Okay.
I move the public portion be closed.
Second. Roll call.
Now, I just want to make 2 comments, very brief. Number 1, a comment was made that if something is found there, it's going to cost more in legal fees. That is nothing. First of all, I don't believe it will. I think we wrote this contract to prepare that this would not cost us anymore. But it is nothing compared to the legal fees if we didn't override this veto, because it's already cost us $60,000 just to one law firm to get the deal we have. One other thing, not trying to insult Mr. Robinson, but when you said borough property, it's property, what's happening in, over in the Melrose section. It's property within the borough of Sayreville, but it's not borough property. We did not own that. We worked very hard. We worked very hard to get that property, to buy it, as we did to get the Mako's property, Kaplan's property. National had just refused to sell it to us. So I want everybody to be aware of that. We didn't just kind of say, oh, phooey with that. We worked very hard. We wanted it, we don't own it, and they would not sell it to us for any price. Thank you.
There was, just so that you remember, this is going back a long, long time ago, that one strip, that middle strip, we were responsible for paying for attorney's fees for National Lead. If you remember, if you go back to that agreement, we were being held responsible by National Lead to pay a very, very hefty sum in their attorney fees. And one of the things that we did, that middle stretch, that bowling alley-like piece of property, that middle piece, was allowed to be developed on in lieu of our taxpayers, once again, having to front the bill of yet additional attorney's fees that we incurred as a result of situations within the planning board. There is nothing more that I wanted than to turn around and be able to take hold of 2 pieces of open space. It was disappointing when the negotiations with National Lead fell through, and we could not take that entire piece. At the very least, I was happy to say that we reduced the number of overall housing. You know, over 2 years of my life and 2 years of many of the council people's lives up here, along with the residents, really went into fighting for this. And I want to say thank you to those residents that continued to push us to learn more and to get more out of that deal. And I want to thank personally every one of the council members up here for overriding that veto. Thank you.
My comment, back in the 90s, I believe it was the 90s, the residents voted to preserve open space with open space funds. We did that tonight. We did that over a month ago. When we were pursuing overriding the veto at the last meeting, we were given the advice not to. The only thing that did was hold us up for 2 weeks of buying open space. There was nothing nefarious or negative about it. It's something that needed to get done. It's something that the people wanted. It's just and have wanted for many years, preserving our open space. And again, by not pursuing this, we would have jeopardized the entire project. I had spoken to Mr. Robinson about it a while back, and I agreed with him that I was not willing to jeopardize the whole entire project when we have the means to pursue Mr. Kaplan if by chance, small chance, that the property is contaminated. So again, I was not willing to jeopardize the entire project. I'm not looking to buy contaminated land. I'm looking to preserve open space. So with that, I want to thank the council as well for joining me in overriding that veto. So with that, I will entertain, we had the motion, so we need all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we ready to go? All right, would everyone please rise for a salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all born and under.
Jessica, statement of publication.
Take notice that this agenda session meeting of the mayor and council being held on this 23rd day of September 2019 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan.
Yeah. Here.
Delina.
Here.
Enriquez.
Here.
Kilpatrick. Here. McGill.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
Anyone have any questions regarding ordinance 472-19?
Do.
Okay, committee reports, Councilman McGill, Administration and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Communication and committee reports, minutes and departmental reports. Move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. Number one, the municipal clerk's monthly report for the month of August 2019. Number two, the CFO's investment activity report for the month of August 2019.
Second.
Receive and file. B, application for bingo raffle licenses received from the following organizations: the Brandon Tyler Narleski Charitable Foundation to conduct an on-premise draw Tricky Tray on October 13th, 2019. C, notice of claim filed against the Borough of Sayreville from plaintiff Richard Fragasso Civil action number 319-CVO-6106169. This has been filed with JIF, a copy to the Borough Attorney.
Next item.
Notice of civil action D filed against the Borough of Sayreville Housing Program, one of the defendants with regards to non-payment of property owner mortgage, Shamita Singleton, Washington, filed with JIF also, copy to CDBG Coordinator and the Borough Attorney. Authorization for a tax collector to refund 2018 taxes in the amount of $9,008.03, 2019 taxes in the amount of $7,131.96, canceling all subsequent billed taxes due to a 100% disability veteran tax exemption, approved by the tax assessor, effective October 16, 2018, covering Bartolo D. Rodriguez, Block 34302, Lot 81, Longbow Road. And F, notice received that PSE&G has filed a petition with the BPU for approval to implement and administer an extension to PSE&G's gas system modernization program and to approve an associated cost recovery mechanism and petition requesting a resetting of social benefits charged for rate increase, all dates on bulletin board. Receive and file. Other than that, progress.
Thank you. Councilman Dolina.
Thank you, Mayor. Planning and zoning minutes and departmental reports. I move the following minutes and reports be received in files, number 1 through 5.
Second.
B, notice of adjacent municipality, numbers 1 through 3, receive and file.
Second.
C, receive the following planning board resolution, number 1, receive and file.
Second.
D, request received from Robert Downey General Contractor to refund bonds covering Sharon Estates major subdivisions. A, performance bond. B, 10% cash in the amount of $62,555.40. J?
I'll report at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Progress.
Great job. Next, Councilwoman Novak.
Yes, I'd like the minutes of departmental reports as listed under the agenda under A, 1, 2, and 3 be received and filed. Also, it's on Mr. Frankel's agenda for awarding a bid for the garage extension to last 2 bays on the Public Works garage. I would request that we take a vote on it tonight and just memorialize it at the next meeting. It'll save us 2 weeks. We're trying to push the timetable to get this done before the cold weather sets in. Does anybody have a problem with that? If they don't, I'll just make the motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Novak?
Yes.
Delina?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yes.
Kilpatrick? McGill?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll say yes, too. Anything else, Councilwoman?
That's it. Progress. Thank you.
Recreation, Councilman Enriquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Move the following minutes, reports be received and filed. 1, Recreation Director's Report for the month of August 2019.
Second.
All right, and looking for approval for an application for a special event received from the following: St. Stan's School HSA to conduct trunk or treat event on October 26, 2019 on the school's property.
Any objections? When's ours? You know ours? You know when the boroughs is?
No, the next day.
Hold on.
The Burrows is on Friday, the 25th.
He's got it.
Okay.
Actually, no, Jerry didn't include that one. Nope.
There was a pop quiz. We had a pop quiz for you there.
Yes, she caught me.
All right, anything else?
All right, yeah, first I would like to thank the borough, all the departments in the borough and the rec advisory board and everyone else that was involved with Sayreville Day, the blast from the past car show, and Wolfstock. Everything went without incident, and that was all due to the hard work that was contributed by everybody involved in the events. So with that, also we have the rec department is running a trip to Broadway to see Ain't Too Proud, the Story of the Temptations, this Saturday, September 28th. Tickets are $150 each, and the bus leaves at 12 noon from the rec center. You could purchase tickets at SayrevilleRec.com or call the rec office.
And we also have the Sayville annual Hit the Bricks 5K trail run / walk at the Capic Nature Reserve, which will be held on Saturday, October 12th at 9:30, rain or shine. Registration can be done online at sayvillerec.com or the data race. And that's it.
Just one question. Time for the Tricky Trunk on Friday? Does anybody have it in their calendar?
No.
5:30?
No, it's not going to be. It's not till October.
5:30?
5:30. Oh, wait, it actually has it on here. October 25th, 6:30.
6:30?
It says 6:30 on our calendar here.
Okay.
Should not doubt you, Terry. Always give us great
Thank you.
advice. Water and sewer?
Thank you, Mayor. I move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. The Water and Sewer Director's Report for the month of August 2019.
Second.
And I do have one thing to ask. Recently, with school starting, obviously, there's been quite a bit of traffic again on Washington Road in Ernston. I've received many calls and emails in reference to really how congested Washington Road has been getting throughout the last several days, going all the way back through almost to the Krausers at certain points, which is now blocking up also Ernston Road. At this point, I would just like to request Dan Frankel to reach out to either Dr. Labby at Superintendent's office or even the business administrator to see if we can set up a meeting, have a discussion about maybe looking to have drop-off or some other way to alleviate a lot of that traffic. I myself have pictures where when there are cars turning into the middle school, if you are coming from the ShopRite area, if one car is trying to turn into middle school anytime between 7:30-ish, if one car can't get into that lot, the traffic backs up and backs up and backs up and backs up. And also, if you're trying to get in coming from Burks Park, once that lot fills and the parents can't drop off, you are literally now backing up Washington Road. Cars are now making illegal middle lanes, driving down the center line of Washington Road. And parents are now starting to drop off at the top of Washington Road, letting the kids get out and actually get onto the sidewalk. From a safety perspective, I have countless pictures of vehicles and people concerned for the safety of the kids and for our emergency responders, because how do you make your way through traffic that is now already using a middle line illegally? It's reached a point now where somebody is going to get seriously injured. So if Dan wouldn't mind reaching out to the board entities and we can sit down and have a serious discussion. I reached out to the chief and he's got some very good ideas about ways we can alleviate it. Hopefully we can put this into play very, very soon. So does anybody have an issue with Dan doing?
We also reach out to the county about extending the road, maybe utilizing the western portion of Washington Road to extend over.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is definitely something we should look at from the long term. I think there might be a couple of ideas. One thing I kicked around with the chief was really hopefully getting board support to encourage parents to drop off at Burks Park. Burks Park has a roundabout at the very, very top. There's also a controlled traffic light that we can ask the county to adjust in the mornings to make sure that it moves at a more frequent rate. And then I also had Dan look into where our property ends in reference to Burks Park and where it connects to the Board of Education. There's a path that runs through there already. So we may have to do a little bit of, maintenance and maybe extension of that to make it a little safer and a little bit more, better for foot traffic for the young kids. But something has to be done. It's become a major safety issue, quality of life issue. People are making some really poor decisions about where and how they're dropping kids off, and I can't go through another day of witnessing it myself. It's just too dangerous, so. And I agree, a longer-term fit would be a better idea if we can get the county on board, too. So,
Anything else?
that's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, under my reports, I move that the following reports be received and filed. The municipal court report for the month of August 2019. Letter B, if everything's in compliance, I would like to have that approved. And letter C, referred over to the police traffic safety. Nothing under the mayor's report. Sure.
Do we have final say in speed limit on a county road? So we could do a traffic study, but we still have to be turned over to the county. They have, because
Business Administrator's Report.
Thank you, Mayor. Authorization to renew Reliance Insurance Group as our insurance broker for health services for the years 2019 and 2020.
Next.
Authorization to renew health insurance services with Aetna Health Management for the contract year 2019. This was an oversight for housekeeping.
We like that removed?
Yep. No, like that, we need it just for housekeeping, so.
Nope.
We need a
Oh, for
reso.
2019,
Yeah, for
I see.
2019. Authorization to renew NAIMC as our risk management consultants for the years 2019 and 2020.
Next.
Authorization to award a contract to Evaluated Voice LLC for the replacement of public safety 911 call logger through a New Jersey State contract T0109AA3908, an amount not to exceed $35,496.
Next item.
Authorization to appoint Sarah Bardsley as a school traffic guard.
We already did that.
We did that. Authorization to award a non-fair and open contract to Halcon Construction for the resurfacing of Bainhurst Avenue basketball court in the amount not to exceed $30,600.
Next item.
We did the authorization on the mechanics garage. Authorization to award contract for soccer complex playground resurfacing to Rubber Recycle through New Jersey State Contract 16 Fleet 00121 in an amount not to exceed $110,400. Authorization for CME to prepare plans and specifications for the replacement of a 12-inch water main in the area of Tennant Brook along Borntown Avenue at a cost not to exceed.
We are still working on a number. We just found out about it last
Right.
week. There's a lot of DEP permits involved, so we're working on our number.
So can we fill in the number? Okay. In the resolution? Okay, thank you.
Next item.
And authorization to award a contract to Helix Technology Group for security enhancements at the water treatment plant in an amount not to exceed $692,200. That's it, Mayor.
CFO's report. Thank you. Borough Engineer.
No report, Mayor?
Borough Attorney.
Yes, just the authorization to execute the amended development fee assessment and allocation agreement between the Borough of Saraville, Saraville Economic and Redevelopment Agency, and the Saraville Seaport Associates Urban. We had already adopted this way back on October 9th. The new special master, has just made some, as Mr. Edwards said, several ministerial and non-substantive changes, so that'll be on the, for reso next week.
Anything else?
No.
Anything for executive?
No, sir.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to open up the public portion for any and all comments. Yes, with hand?
Ruth Ann Mahoney, 2 Gerard Place, Parlin. Mrs. Kirkpatrick, I agree wholeheartedly that something needs to be done. The cars are not even observing the crossing guards at this point. They're ignoring them. The children are in such danger. I've also met with the police officer regarding Ernston Road because of the safety and included for Ernston.
Yes.
And it's a terrible problem. It's been bad for years and it's getting worse. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Officer, now, who did you meet with? Officer Brown?
No, Officer Brian.
Brown.
Yeah, Brian Brown.
Yeah.
Yes, so,
Brown,
The
yeah.
sergeant.
yes, so
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, did he put recommendations through to, I mean, at this point,
so.
I think we need to move forward with that too. It really
It's been a
is.
slow-moving process.
It's been very slow.
Very, very slow, and I indicated that. I did indicate that to him, and I realized they're very busy. But I'm afraid something is gonna happen sooner than later.
But I think his recommendations, I mean, if we were to bring them up again at our next meeting, so that way we have to take action in order to put those into effect? If we can just review those one more time, because I agree, it needs to happen. What?
I never received them.
Can-
The whole entire company.
Dan, can you reach out to
Yeah,
Brian?
Yeah, I think it's time, and I know that process was slow, and I appreciated that you were patient with that. I think that he put together something pretty comprehensive that we could initiate. We just have to start. It's so ungodly unsafe. One of the videos that was sent to me was disturbing. I don't know how the pedestrian actually made it safely across the road.
I know. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move the public portion be closed?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Second.
Opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everyone.
Good meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Monday, Wednesday morning, Tuesday nights.
You have a regular job too.
Yeah, so I work like today. I taught 9:30.
Thank you.
Thank you. I taught you 9:30 this morning. Yeah, went to work 9:30 to 5:30. Tomorrow I work 8:30 to 6. And I teach 6 to